are some hot-tempered individuals out there. Pascual Perez not involved there. Well, I'll tell you what. It's about as good a little battle as you're going to see. We've got about 5 separate fights going on out in the field. He was held back by somebody. Here he goes. Summers charging after Perez. Bob Horner has come out. We've got some fans involved now. Oh, my. Oh, my. This one is very close to getting totally out of control. A couple of fans have come down onto the field. Other fans were involved throwing things. There's still one fan down there in the middle of all that.
It looks like Rick Camp is trying to protect the Padre down there now. In a way, it's good a fan got involved because that'll turn all the players. It's like a family feud. Turn all the players against the fan.
Okay, we've got one fan that's been grabbed by a couple of security guards. There we go again. Now Gerald Perry and Tim Flannery getting into it. Or is that Bavacqua? Flannery's been pulled out of that rhubarb, but we've had about 6 or 7 separate fights break out here. Security guards down in the field have a couple of fans in handcuffs, leading them off the field. Flannery's been pulled back by Joe Pignatano.
As the players walked away from this melee, everyone thought it was over finally. Things had quieted down, but it certainly wasn't, because in the very next half inning, Braves reliever Donnie Moore took aim at the Padres' Greg Nettles, and it all started all over again.
Okay, we've got the word now on the players who... And that pitch hits Greg Nettles, and he's going after Donnie Moore. Here we go again. Nettles in the middle, Moore backing out. The benches are emptying again. My, oh, my, oh, my. The goose is involved. I have never seen a ball game where so many separate incidents have occurred.
Now here come the guys who were thrown out earlier for the Padres, coming back out.
Here's who was thrown out during the last melee, along with pitcher Craig Lefferts and acting manager Jack Kroll. From San Diego, Bobby Brown was thrown out. Goose Gossett going after Donnie Moore. They're heading toward the Braves dugout again. Here goes Greg Nettles after Moore, and he was really tackled in front of that Braves dugout. Last time these two teams had the benches empty, Lefferts was ejected. So was Jack Kroll. Bobby Brown was ejected from the game for the Padres. Cap Summers was ejected from the game. And 3 members of the Atlanta Braves, Rick Mailer, Steve Bedrosian, and Gerald Perry, were all thrown out. Nettles, at the bottom of all that, Joe Torre pulling Alan Wiggins away. Steve Bedrosian, who's been thrown out of the game, is out in the field. And we got another one breaking out. Another one is breaking out. Gene Garber pulling Tim Flannery away from somebody. Yet another fight is broken out in front of the dugout. A couple of the Braves players who have been ejected, Rick Mailer and Steve Bedrosian, are both out in the field. So is Gerald Perry. That could get them in some more trouble. Joe Torre is down on the ground with somebody. Right in on the hip, and that's a pitch that's impossible to get out of the way of. And we've got more trouble breaking out. The Padres and some fans are getting into it. Over by the Padre dugout, the umpires and the security guards head over that way to try to fend off any problems over there.
Now a fan is trying to steal a batting helmet, and he's going to get level.
Jerry Royster just tackled a fan over by third base. Padres are coming out again. A fan tried to come down on the field and run off with a batting helmet. Ed Whitson trying to get back out on the field. Norm Sherry, Harry Dunlop restraining him. Yet another fan being walked off the field by security. And some more men in blue coming down onto the field.
That's not a bad idea.
And I'll tell you where they're going to need security, too, is to get the Padres out of this ballpark to the airport.
Wow, I don't know. We've got the final list here. We'll read it off to you quickly. 5 Braves ejected: Rick Mailer, Steve Bedrosian, Gerald Perry, Donnie Moore, and manager Joe Torre. 9 Padres in all: Bobby Brown, Champ Summers, Ed Witz, and Greg Booker. And Craig Lefferts, Dick Williams, Jack Kroll, Ozzie Virgil were all ejected. The one thing I think the Padres have to be careful of, now that the ejections have come, suspensions could come down from Chub Feeney's office. And you don't want too many of these big names thrown out for a few days in the thick of a pennant race.
That's right. The Goose was also involved. He didn't get thrown out. But, of course, we have a crew down there, and we hope to get some reaction from the principals of this boxing match. But, you know, this is only the capper of what's been a wild week in baseball. John McSherry, the rather rotund umpire that was involved in that, got the whole week started. It was Monday in Wrigley Field, and there's a full moon this week. Maybe it had some effect. But let's see this wild week in baseball and how it developed.
These are the dog days of summer, where the greyhounds glisten with sweat while the strays grow meaner. Playing in the Cubs' yard on an agonizing August afternoon, the Mets turned junkyard mean when Chicago stole the bone. A 9-game standing swing in less than 2 weeks prompted Ed Lynch to take the bite, which started an alley fight with Keith Moreland and both packs. As in most diamond rumbles, no skin was broken, even in the presence of Great Danes like Frank Howard and Rick Sutcliffe, and a bulldog like Moreland. The beatings and brawls are breaches of baseball sanity, which are nevertheless natural when a summer's worth of work starts getting scratched up. For Moreland's part, he tried to prove pedigree.
He threw at me in the proper place. You know, it was a definite place where he was trying to hit me, but you know, he did it in a proper way, and I went after him in a proper way. I didn't try to go after the hurt.
Maybe not proper, but certainly predictable under pennant pressure like those two are under. But it isn't just the burning sun which fries minds. The full moon brings out nighttime madness. For how do you explain the tirades of a journeyman reliever like Pat Zachary in a game his team won? And then there's Cleveland. The city may be the butt of more jokes than any other metropolis, but was Pat Corrales' managerial mania amusing? After his team spent its first night out of the cellar since May, Corrales demonstrated why he's kept there. And when he was banished back to his basement, he emptied the contents onto the yard. Although the outbursts had different detonators, the common thread is when the sun gets hot and the races tighten, it's a lot easier for the ball player's spring to come uncoiled.